Today on How to Cook, we're continuing down our Taco Bell memory lane journey and making the Beefy Tostada. No, it's not the spicy tostada. This is the original tostada from back in the 70s, 80s. They canceled this sucker 30-something years ago. And I don't know why. It's delicious. It's awesome. But they thought, you know, what the heck? People like it. Let's get rid of it. Seems to be a theme with them. So we're making the Beefy Tostada, and there's a secret inside there that if you've been trying to make this at home, you probably forgot about or didn't know about, and I'll show you what it is. And yes, I know it's supposed to have an olive right there. I didn't put one there, but you can if you want to. I don't like olives. Oh, and by the way, they're mini size, so I'll show you how to fix that problem too. There you go. Yeah, little mini beefy tostadas from Taco Bell. Let's get started. There's not a lot of cooking to be done with this, but one of the things you got to do is you got to cook some ground beef up. It wouldn't be a beefy tostada without beef in it, so put a pound of ground beef into a frying pan here and break this up as small as you can. As it cooks, just keep working it until you get it down as far as you can and really small. When all the pink is done, it's time to drain it, and we need to get all the grease out of there. If you don't get the grease out at the right time, it'll start sucking back up into the meat. We don't like that, so just get all the grease out of there. This is a bowl with some foil lined into it. Drain it in there and then pop it in the freezer, and you can throw it in your trash. It's perfect. Add a little bit of water according to the seasoning packet, and we're using the Mccormick original taco seasoning here. Taco Bell makes their own seasoning packet. You can use that if you want, and make sure you use the correct amount of water for that. This is 3/4 of a cup, but it varies per each brand. Once that is well mixed up, we have this back on the heat here, and we're going to start mixing this into the meat. It's another opportunity to break up the meat even smaller. There are thickeners in the seasoning packet that will, start to activate as soon as it gets hot and starts to simmer. But right now, you're just trying to get this mix so that it's coating all the meat and you get the meat as small as you can. Getting the meat small is kind of the biggest thing for the Taco Bell thing, because it's their meat is very fine. So you need to really spend a lot of time chopping this up as best you can. As you mix it up, you can see this is absorbing all of the liquid, and the liquid is thickening and it's creating that coating on there, and the seasoning is just right. There are ways that you can do this without using one of those seasoning packets, but to be honest, they're so easy and inexpensive. It's kind of not worth it unless you're really a stickler for, doing things your way or getting a certain flavor or something. But, for the rest of us, this works really, really well. Just keep stirring this until there's no extra liquid in there, and that will take a few minutes. Once it's done, we're just going to put a lid on it and let it simmer for a second while we move on to the rest of this. Now we just got to do the beans. If you want to stand around for a couple days and make beans, go ahead. Otherwise, open a can of Rosarita traditional refried beans and put it in a bowl, because you're going to have to microwave this, and smash this down and make sure you get rid of all the ridges so that there's no evidence that you cheated. People think you spent days making beans, but you didn't. Make sure that you get this flat. When you go in a microwave, this tends to explode and splatter everywhere, so you want to cover it, and if it's not flat, it splatters even worse. Alright, that goes in 2 minutes in a microwave. Now it's time to make the tostadas. Okay, so these are the wrong tortillas right here. These are taco-sized tortillas. You don't want to use those. If you're making your own, you just take a little oil and you brush it on. Otherwise, get the Old El Paso tostada shells. So much easier. If you do want to make your own like this, get the king-size tortillas. Start with king-size because they won't shrink as much. These go in the oven at 400 degrees, 6 minutes on one side, flip them over, 4 minutes on the other side, and that's it. They're done. Okay, so as you see, we have the world's smallest tostada shells. If you're making these yourself, they shrink significantly. So start with bigger tortillas. If you start with the regular taco size, you're going to get these little minis. But they're cute and they're fun. And if you're making this for kids, well, then it's perfect. So, you saw when we made these, just bake them in the oven. They are perfectly crispy and wonderful and delicious and ready to go. That's awesome. Again, you can buy the box of tostada shells. It might be easier. There you go. And that's going to really, really replicate the Taco Bell experience. So, just saying, maybe that's one of those cases where making it yourself is not the best course of action. You see our beans here, they've been in the microwave. They're nice and steaming hot. Remember, if you're microwaving beans, cover them. They spit. That's it. Those are ready to go. We got everything here. Basically, here's your ingredient rundown real fast. We've got our, in order that it goes on. We got beans. We've got our meat. You saw how that was cooked. We have our chunky salsa right here. Oh yeah, there's salsa. Then lettuce, and then sour cream, and then cheese and tomatoes. And that's and the olives. Don't forget the olives. Dear God, don't forget the olives. I forgot the olives. I don't like olives, so I don't have olives in my house pretty much ever. It's a very rare day there's an olive in the house, and it's usually for a very specific reason. I do apologize. If you need the olive, please put the olive on it. Okay, spread some beans on here. Beans are yummy. Beans are good for you. Might be the healthiest part of this besides the lettuce and tomato. So, if you like beans, don't be afraid of putting beans on it. They're adorable. Okay, meat. Pardon my reach. You got to put a little bit of ground beef on this. Not a ton, but it is the Beefy Tostada. Again, this isn't the spicy tostada. That came much, much later. This is the 70s, 80s version of the tostada. It was a very different era back then. People didn't understand what flavor was necessarily, and they did some pretty weird things. So, don't fault them for that. Just understand it was a simpler time. And if you're yearning for that simpler time, well, here you go. If you want more beef on it, please put more beef on it. I'm actually making this one. These are going to be for my wife. So she doesn't like the meat as much, so I'm going a little skimpy on the meat. Okay? You're supposed to put more meat on that because it's the Beefy Tostada. So please put more meat on it if you want to. Otherwise, know that my wife is going to be very happy with this. A little bit of our salsa here. This is a chunky salsa. This happens to be the Pace Picante brand. La Victoria or Urdez works really well as well. Lettuce. Oh yeah, let us put some lettuce on it. Get the lettuce in here. It's basically like a little flat salad. So we're making our salad part. Here you go. Here's your salad. Every good salad should start with cook a pound of meat. Right? Since it's salad, we better put enough lettuce on this to make it justify all that meat. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Now sour cream. Normally, these are this size, and you put 4 dollops of sour cream around it. I don't know how I'm going to do that with this little guy, so I'm just going to gently just put a couple of little blobs. I think I might only get 3 on here. That one doesn't want to come off too well. There we go. Yeah, I think I'm going to get 3 on this one. Again, if you're using regular tostada shells, feel free to put 4 blobs on. This gets 3. There you go. Cheese. Now this is cheddar cheese. You can use Monterey Jack cheese. That's pretty much about it. If you want to get the bag of pre-shredded Mexi Blend cheese stuff, that works. It's your tostada, man. Do you. Otherwise, if you're using the bag of cheese, they coat the cheese with kind of a cornstarch sort of thing so it doesn't stick together. So if it changes the mouthfeel slightly, this is shredded off of a block of cheese. It's the way I prefer it. It really isn't that hard to do. but it adds a step, so feel free to not do that. Okay, and then tomatoes. Just give it the tomatoes, as they say. And those are the tiniest little beefy tostadas ever. Please be kind in the comments. I'm doing the best I can. And that's not saying much. So, there you go. Tiny, beefy tostadas. The best part about this is you eat them with a knife and a fork, you crunch it up, you get the crunchy shell in there, and it's a thing. So, go ahead and make these. Enjoy. That is basically the secret to everything. You saw how this is done. This might be the one ingredient everyone leaves out and forgets, because I know there was something, but I can't remember what it was because it was 35 years ago. Now you know. It's the salsa. So, enjoy it, and come back and see me on the next one, because I'll be making something else. So, until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.